Charles de Saint-G, Idio, Intellectual Limitation, Moral Innocence, and Spiritual Justice Beyond Appearance. The Testimony of the Spirit. Charles de Saint-G, Idiot, presented in the second part of Heaven and Hell, offers a profound teaching on intellectual limitations, moral innocence, and the true criterion of spiritual justice. This account dismantles the idea that intelligence or cognitive ability are measures of the value of consciousness, showing that divine law primarily considers intention, sensitivity, and the inner moral state. Charles manifested with simplicity, without complex intellectual elaboration, but with preserved feelings. In life, he presented severe cognitive limitations, which made him dependent and socially devalued. After passing, however, he reveals himself as a tranquil spirit, without serious moral guilt, as he did not possess full freedom of discernment for complex choices. His consciousness does not carry the weight of responsibilities that he could not understand. Modern psychology helps to understand this point by distinguishing intellectual capacity from moral capacity. Cognitive limitations affect abstract reasoning and decision-making autonomy, but do not nullify basic affective sensitivity. On the spiritual plane, when organic restrictions cease, consciousness gradually frees itself from the limitations of the physical brain, without this implying retroactive judgment for what could not be demanded. Spiritism clarifies that moral responsibility is always proportional to the degree of consciousness and freedom. Charles is not evaluated by what he could not do, but by what he felt and lived within his possibilities. Divine justice does not punish limitation. It understands it. Where there was no conscious intention to err, there is no guilt to repair. Contemporary science reinforces this reading by recognizing that the development of consciousness depends on neurological structures and contexts of care. Demanding complex moral performance from someone who does not have the cognitive means for it would be unjust. Spiritism broadens this understanding by showing that bodily life can impose temporary restrictions without compromising the essential value of the spirit. Another central point of the testimony is the responsibility of those surrounding Charles. Evidence involving intellectual limitations concerns not only the spirit experiencing them, but also those who coexist with him. Parents, caregivers, and society are tested regarding patience, compassion, respect, and dignity. The way we treat the most vulnerable weighs heavily on the moral scale. The account also highlights that there is no spiritual inferiority in mental limitation. The appearance of intellectual delay does not reflect moral delay. Many consciousnesses undergo experiences of restriction as part of educational, reparative, or collective learning processes. Spirituality does not measure value by performance, but by inner truth. Spiritism teaches that this state is not definitive. Freed from the limited body, the spirit gradually progresses, recovering abilities and expanding understanding according to its spiritual maturity. The difficult earthly experience does not condemn it. It prepares it for future stages with new possibilities. This testimony brings a current and essential message. In a society that often associates human value with productivity, intelligence, or efficiency, Charles de Saint-G reminds us that dignity does not depend on ability. Respect for life in all its forms is a fundamental spiritual principle. Charles teaches us that divine justice is profoundly human in the best sense. It understands, embraces, and adjusts responsibilities with perfect equity. Where the world sees deficiency, spirituality sees learning and an opportunity for love. Reflecting on this account is an invitation to active compassion. Respecting, protecting, and including those with limitations today is a moral and spiritual duty. Awareness grows when it learns to love without measuring. If this testimony helped you reflect on justice, inclusion, and human dignity, like, share, and leave your comment. Your participation helps this message reach more people.